was a superstar. I've bbeen saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro.
That is a shame. Knock it down.
Oh, man, look at this throw.
Yeah.
Like it had eyes.
Yeah.
Like
Put that pressure on him. Put that pressure on him. Put that pressure on him. Put that pressure on him, lady. That's what I'm talking about. Put that pressure on him. Hey, you can't be the person that don't miss. Best you can do is tie him. Okay.
The whisper started as a flicker, a faint signal lost in the daily noise of highlights and headlines. But it grew, fanned by social media breadcrumbs and a shared unspoken language between two revolutionaries separated by league and gender, yet bound by the singular, physics-defying act of throwing a leather sphere through a hoop from distances that stretched the very geometry of the game. The whisper asked a simple, electrifying question. What if Caitlin Clark, the nuclear force of women's basketball, was in the lab with the architects of the greatest shooter the world has ever seen? The evidence, as the community dissected it, was circumstantial but compelling. It lived in the digital margins. Steph Curry's personal shooting coach, a guardian of arcane...
But Caitlin Clark commented underneath that video, "We want to see Steph make 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please." You know, and she never really, she would say when something was a foul or to, a complaint to that ilk. But Caitlin hasn't come out and said, what they're doing isn't basketball.
Shooting secrets had begun posting Caitlin Clark content with a frequency that felt deliberate, curated. This wasn't casual fandom. It was a signal flare. Then, Steph himself was spotted, not in his own signature Under Armour, but laced up in a pair of Caitlin's Nike shoes, a sartorial nod that screamed collaboration, not coincidence. The universe of elite basketball is small, its orbits governed by gravitational pull of talent. These were not random celestial bodies passing in the night. Their trajectories were aligning. The whisper became a conversation when Clark herself, often so measured in her public commentary, leaned into the narrative. It happened under a video of Steph Curry dissecting a game against the Charlotte Hornets, a game where he was face-guarded, hugged, and harassed from baseline to baseline, a defensive strategy less about sport and more about survival. Into the comments, Clark typed a sentence that resonated like a tuning fork. "We want to see Steph make 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please." On the surface, it was fan solidarity. Beneath, it was a manifesto. The subtext was a lived experience, a rookie season written in bruises. Clark wasn't just commenting on Steph's game, she was annotating her own. The grabbing she pleaded against wasn't an abstract defensive concept. It was the tactile reality of her first year in the WNBA. The immediate blitzes the moment she crossed half court, the hands on her hips through screens, the forearms to her ribs on drives, the constant, grinding physicality, designed not to outskill her, but to outsuffer her. Her comment was a key that unlocked a shared frustration. She had found her voice, not in a complaint, but in an alliance. Steph's response in that interview gave her words a foundation. When asked about the extreme...
There's a part of you that fights it just because it's not real basketball, but there's also a part of it that's flattering. Just knowing that you demand that much attention, and also what it does to create shots for other guys on the floor. So, and I've seen it all, so I know if that's how they want to guard, how I can be effective, not let it take me out of the game, but also kind of use it to our advantage as a team. And then it's also funny at times just how egregious it is. There's one possession I gotta find. I'm actually getting the footage. I actually stayed back in the backcourt a long time on purpose just to see how long Sion would stay with me. So that was a fun one.
Defensive attention. He parsed it with the wisdom of a veteran who has seen every gimmick. "There's a part of you that fights it just because it's not real basketball," he said, his tone a blend of annoyance and bemusement. "But there's also a part of it that's flattering, knowing that you demand that much attention. Not real basketball." Those 3 words landed in the WNBA ecosystem with the force of a papal bull. Here was the patron saint of the perimeter, the man who had forced the entire sport to reconfigure its understanding of space, condemning a defensive ethos that the WNBA had, for years, worn as a badge of honor. The league's narrative of toughness was often code for a loud, even celebrated, perimeter contact. It was a style that prized physical attrition over skilled execution, a throwback to a different era. Steph Curry, whose entire career is a monument to skill, had just called it what it was, a deviation from the essence of the sport. And Clark knew this reality intimately. Her arrival in the league was a cultural tsunami, shattering attendance records, spiking television ratings, and moving merchandise at a superstar clip. Yet on the court, the welcome mat was often a forearm shiver. Defenses deployed against her were less about schemes and more about sentinels. The strategy was transparent. Make every possession a physical ordeal. Let her know you're there. Wear her down. The Caitlin rule wasn't written, but it was enforced. Even voices from within the league's coaching fraternity acknowledged the line had been crossed. Stephanie White, who once coached the Connecticut Sun and deployed such tactics against Clark, now as her coach in Indiana, admitted publicly too much contact was being allowed on the perimeter league-wide. This wasn't a fan's gripe. It was an insider's confirmation. Commentators like Rebecca Lobo found themselves in the awkward position of unofficial foul trackers, narrating games by pointing out uncalled holds and bumps on Clark in real time. The disconnect was glaring. The league's brightest star, its most potent economic engine, was being officiated under a different, more punitive standard. Clark's genius, however, was in her strategic silence on the matter. She never took the bait to publicly decry the officiating or label the defense not real basketball.
Caitlin Clark, and you get the attention that she does, you're going to get outsized defensive attention. In a rookie season, she was blitzed more to start that year than any team. A lot of that is strategy. They know what she can do. They know where she has the ball, all that stuff. But then there's part of it like trying to prove a point against her. And then, of course, when you want to rough up the other team's star, that's what coaches preach. If the refs are going to let you do it, you do it. It's something that became a point of contention across her WNBA career so far, with Stephanie White, who probably deployed that strategy with the Connecticut Sun, saying that too much contact is allowed on the perimeter. And that's a thing across the WNBA, and it became a theme across the WNBA. But, Caitlin is allowed to be grabbed and held and all those things. Even to the point where I remember there was a broadcast where Rebecca Lobo pointed out, there's a foul, and there's a foul, and there's a foul.
To do so would risk the soft label, the narrative that she couldn't handle the rigors of the professional game. Instead, she let her comment on Steph's interview do the talking. She weaponized empathy. By advocating for him, she was advocating for the game, a game built on skill, flow, and breathtaking shot-making. She was saying, let the artist paint. Her comment was a perfectly calibrated piece of rhetoric. It carried the weight of her experience while deflecting the criticism that it was about her. This is where the whisper about her off-season training intersects with the louder conversation about the sport's soul. If the rumor is true, if Caitlin Clark is indeed spending her off-season deconstructing and reconstructing her shot with the same mind that has honed Stephen Curry's for over a decade, then it represents more than a mere skill upgrade. It is an ideological merger. Consider the symbiosis. Curry's coach, Brandon Payne, specializes in neurocentric training, forging mental pathways as much as muscle memory. He works on shot prep, footwork efficiency, creating microscopic pockets of space, and maintaining form under duress and fatigue. These are not just tools for Clark. They are weapons specifically designed to counter the very not real basketball defense she faces. It's a direct response to the problem. If defenders are going to grab, she'll learn to get her shot off quicker, from more awkward angles, with less space. If they lean on her, she'll build a stronger core and a more stable base. If they try to tire her, she'll have the conditioning and the repeatable mechanics to outlast them. This is a terrifying proposition for the rest of the WNBA. Clark's rookie season, for all its adjustment pains, was historically brilliant. She led the league in points and assists, a feat never before accomplished. She shattered the rookie assist record and finished second in MVP voting. And she did this while being the focal point of every defensive scouting report, while navigating a media whirlwind unlike any before her, while essentially serving as a one-woman stimulus package for the league. Now, imagine that player, with that confidence, returning with a shooting toolkit blessed by the Curry Oracle. The leap from superstar to existential threat is measured in increments of precision, and this training suggests she's targeting the latter. The business alignment is equally potent. Nike, which bet big on both athletes, now sees its two most visionary shooters, one the established king, the other the ascending queen, informally linking their development. They represent the same ethos: limitless range, gravitational pull on defenses, and a generation of kids emulating their every move. Clark is already the Steph Curry of women's basketball in cultural impact. Sharing his developmental infrastructure would cement the parallel in practice. Furthermore, this connection elevates Clark's leverage in the most critical off-court battle, the impending collective bargaining agreement, CBA, negotiations. The WNBA is at a financial inflection point, driven overwhelmingly by the revenue spike and visibility Clark generated. Her casual social media assurance to a fan about courtside this year wasn't just politeness, it was a statement of confidence. It signaled her belief that a season-wrecking lockout is untenable because the value of the product, a product she now centrally defines, is too high. Her voice in those negotiations carries immense weight because she is, quite plainly, the proof of concept. The league's argument for higher salaries, better travel, and expanded roster sizes is built on the economic reality she manifested. Training with Curry's team only amplifies her stature, making her not just a player, but a paradigm. Ultimately, this convergence of training, rumors, strategic commentary, and business leverage paints a picture of an athlete executing a masterful long game. Caitlin Clark is not merely reacting to her rookie season, she is architecting her destiny and, in the process, pulling the league toward her vision of it. Her comment on Steph's video was the opening salvo in a quiet campaign to change how the game is officiated. By aligning with Curry, she borrows his unimpeachable credibility to critique a defensive culture that stifles offense. She's creating a coalition of the skilled. If she returns next season with a visibly upgraded, Curry-esque arsenal, the contrast will be stark. The dissonance between her otherworldly skill and the mugging defenses employed to stop her will become too glaring to ignore. The league will face a choice: protect its golden goose and allow her artistry to flourish, or let the not-real basketball continue and watch the product suffer. Stephanie White's evolution from Clark's antagonist to her coach, and now her advocate on this issue, is the final, telling piece. It shows that those who have used the physical tactics understand their utility, but also recognize their cost. The league is maturing, and part of that maturation is understanding that true toughness is in execution under pressure, not in holding and grabbing. The NBA learned this lesson in the post-Jordan, post-Bad Boy Pistons era, consciously shifting officiating to favor offensive skill and fluidity. The WNBA's growth trajectory now demands a similar evolution. The whisper about Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry's shooting coach is, therefore, about much more than an off-season workout. It is about the fusion of two shooting revolutions. It is about a young star strategically building her power base on and off the court. It is about a league standing at a crossroads, forced to decide between the gritty past and a dazzling, skill-driven future. Clark, by seeking the highest possible training, by allying herself with the game's foremost shooting genius, and by subtly advocating for a style of play that lets talent breathe, is placing her bet on that future. She is betting on herself to be so undeniably brilliant, so central to the league's prosperity, that the game must change to accommodate her. Not out of privilege, but out of necessity, for the good of the sport, for the sake of real basketball. The next season, therefore, looms not just as a basketball campaign, but as a referendum. Every uncalled hold, every blitz, Every moment of excessive contact on Clark will be scrutinized through the lens she helped create. And every deep three, every impossible pass, every moment of offensive sorcery, potentially refined by Curry's secrets, will be an argument for the beautiful game. The whisper has become a conversation. Soon, it will be a roar. And Caitlin Clark, with a quiet comment and a rumored off-season plan, is holding the megaphone. She's not just preparing to be a problem for defenses. She's preparing to reshape the league itself.